Hello and welcome. Foster Talk with Dr. John. Tuesday night, March the 23rd, I think, 2021. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. Hey, so glad you're here this tonight. Thank you for joining us. We've been doing this, for about a year now since COVID started. This is a time we come together as foster parents to answer your questions, to provide the help you need, to give you the support, the resources, all that you need as you care for children in need, children in crisis in your home. As I said, I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. I've been a foster parent myself to over 60 plus children who've come through my home over the years. And we're here to provide the resources and help that you need. Foster parenting has been the most rewarding thing I've done. It has been the most difficult thing I've done. It's been the most joyful thing I've done. Maybe you feel the same way. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight. So glad you're here with us tonight during this Foster Talk. So we do it every 7:30, answering your questions. So we have three rules. Three rules. Rule number one is this. Go ahead and let your friends know who are foster parents. Tag your fellow foster parents and ask them, encourage them, let them know that you're here. Encourage them to join us tonight because, as you probably know, no one understands a foster parent like another foster parent. Your friends, your family members, those closest to you. Hey, Teresa, glad you're here tonight. Glad you're here tonight. Those closest to you, hey, they really don't understand the day-to-day challenges that you experience, that you face, that you go through every day as a foster parent. Because at the end of the day, they get to go home and you are still caring for children in your own home who are suffering from trauma, suffering from anxiety, children who are been neglected, been abandoned. It's a very challenging lifestyle. Here, rule two, get your fingers flying. Get your fingers flying. Type in any question I've asked. We're here to answer your questions. You can ask questions about parenting, foster care, adoption, kinship care, anything you want to ask. You want to talk about a little bit about me? Hey, I'm planning on going to Washington D.C. coming up to talk with legislators about a bill. You want to talk about that? Absolutely. You want to talk about a new book I'm working on? Anything you want. We're going to answer your questions here live right here. And the third rule is my favorite rule. If somebody asks a question, if somebody makes a statement and you think, Dr. John, wait a minute, Dr. John, I have been there. I have done that. I want to share. We want to hear from you. We want to hear how you handled something because we can learn from each other. I'm going to Kansas City in a couple weeks. I travel the nation and globe working with foster care agencies. Part of the best thing about it is, for me, is when I get to listen to people like you, get to hear your stories, answer your questions, but most importantly, gain wisdom from how you may have handled a situation. We all learn together. It's a support group for foster parents. So if you want to add something, we want to hear from you. Okay. I'm just typing a question here to somebody who asked a question on another page, telling them to join us. Make sure you join us on the live video. Okay, there we go. So with that in mind, hey, Alexander's here. Alexander, glad you're here this night. Thank you for joining us. Foster Talk with Dr. John. What can I do about false allegations? It's a long story. Alexander, hopefully, thank you for asking. Hopefully what you've been doing is you have been preparing for this by documenting everything. We have two webinars here at the Foster Care Institute, Alexander, that talk about this very issue. The importance of documentation and protecting yourself as a foster parent. Alexander, you know this if you're in my book, Fostering Love and the Sequel, Love and Mayhem, the two bestsellers. You know this then, that I've experienced two false accusations. My wife and I have faced two false accusations. It's very normal. It's very common for foster parents. It happens often because many times the birth parents, hey, they might be so angry with the choices they made. They might be filled with their own anxiety and pain, and as a result, they're not in a good spot, so they might lash out towards foster parents in anger at their own situation, and they might make false accusations. Again, it's happened to me two times. So what you're going through is not unnormal. The way you protect yourself from that is you document everything. Hopefully, Alexander, you've been giving a long list of documentation of everything that goes through your home as experienced as a foster parent. The three most important words I often tell foster parents is documentation, documentation, documentation. So with the documentation in hand, if you've not done that, we'll get to that in a minute. But let's say you have documented. Let's say you've done the proper thing. Then you hand that documentation to the caseworker, to the supervisor, and you keep a copy for yourself as well. Okay, that documentation is evidence, if you will. How do you document properly? You just make sure you document everything that happens in your house. You record in a non-biased, non-emotional, non-biased fashion, just the facts, so to speak. All right, that's like evidence of what happened in your house, what happened, and how you addressed it, or how it was addressed in general. Okay, I would need to know more about your false accusations. There it is, Elena, right there. It says document, 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 document. Absolutely, Elena. Thank you for sharing that. And then when that happens, Alexandra, then you go ahead again. You share that with the caseworker and you prepare for it. And that's part of how you protect yourself as a foster parent. There's also a webinar, Alexander, you probably want to watch, rights and responsibilities as a foster parent. You have certain rights. So in a nutshell, Alexander, hopefully you documented. If you've not, it's not too late. It's not too late to do that. If you're not sure how to do that, please, Alexander, tonight, this very night, watch 2 webinars at the Foster Care Institute. The importance of documentation as foster parents, it will tell you exactly how to do it and what to document, and protecting yourself as a foster parent. Those are 2 webinars you probably need to watch tonight. Now, hopefully, Alexander, hopefully you're already a special member. We had 3 people sign up today. That's not actually, that's not true. 5 people sign up today at the Foster Care Institute. We have over 10,000 members. Hopefully, you're already a member, so you have access to over 60 hours of online training webinars, CEUs, certificates, free ebooks, and more. All right. Hopefully that helped you there, Alexander. So glad you asked. If you're not a member, Alexander, join tonight. You need to do it. You need to watch those webinars. Bethany's here. Bethany, welcome to Foster Talk with Dr. John. So glad you're here with us tonight. What's the difference between supported guardianship and adoption? Would a guardianship still be permanent? No, Bethany, thanks for asking. No, guardianship is not permanent. Adoption is permanent. Adoption is permanent. And Bethany, you know from my TED Talk, from my webinars, maybe you heard me speak in person, my books, I've adopted 3 children from foster care. We've had 4 failed adoptions, but we've adopted 3. So adoption is permanent. Guardianship is you have guardianship, you have custody, if you will. You're caring for the child, if you will, for a certain amount of time. You might be a guardian of the child while the child is in school, or maybe the child is, again, it's for a certain amount of time. All right. It can be short, it can be long. So there is that difference. Adoption, they're part of your family forever. Guardianship is not necessarily permanent. Appreciate you asking, Bethany. We do have a couple webinars here on adoption here at the Foster Care Institute that you might find of information. All right, this is Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of Misty. Misty's here tonight. I want to say hello to Michael's here tonight as well. Sally's here tonight too. So glad all of you are here this tonight. We do it every single Tuesday and Thursday right here, 7 to 7:30 right here on this page. Hey, hopefully earlier today you received the Foster Care Institute newsletter. And this week we talked about, well, how I really feel about caseworkers. This is Social Worker Month, Caseworker Month, and we're recognizing that here at the Foster Care Institute. And this week's main article, if you will, was how do I really feel about caseworkers? If you've not read it, I think you might be interested in that. We also have the Foster Care News of the Week, the Foster Care 101 video tip, the Foster Care Webinar of the Week, the Motivational Moment, and so much more. Hey, we have about 20,000 people who subscribe. And if you don't get it for free, I want you to get it. Type in I want newsletter, put your email address. I want newsletter, your email address, and we will send that foster care and incident newsletter to you later on tonight. It's absolutely free, and you don't want to miss it because that's where you're going to get all the foster care information and news that you need every week as you care for children in your home who are suffering from crisis in some way. And it's hard. Hey, it's hard being a foster parent. It's hard. There have been times where I thought, can I do this? There have been times where I thought, I've struggled with it. Sometimes. There are times where I thought I've been upset with the system. There have been times where I have been questioned the decisions the court made. There have been times where I've been, as I said earlier tonight, I've had false accusations made. Yeah, it's the hardest thing I've done. Most rewarding thing, absolutely by far. But yeah, sure, it's tough. It's tough. So that's why we want to make sure we're able to get you the information that you need. Okay. tonight. Missy here, thank you so much for joining us, Foster Talk with Dr. John. Missy says, I'm relicensing my foster license since I moved from out of state to Texas. Hey, I love Texas. I've been to Texas so many times over the years working with agencies. Love Texas. I just learned one of Texas requirements is a babysitter also needs to take classes and complete a background check before I can even get my license. Sounds easy, right? No, it doesn't sound easy to me, Misty. Not at all. Well, the problem is I don't know anyone in Texas. That's part of the problem. How can I get someone to do this? Can I just find someone that's already in foster care? What did everyone else do? How do I do all this? I reached out to a child care company and they literally laughed and said they don't know, they don't. I hope I can find some child care resources already licensed and I could use them as a resource. Hey, Missy, I appreciate you asking. One way that you might want to do it is how other people have done it. This is how I've been told. All right. I've seen this practice a lot as well. Maybe there's a church or a faith based organization in your area, Missy, that you could join. Not only you join to meet other people, right, and get a support group, if you will, of some kind, and many churches have foster care support groups, foster care outreach programs, foster care ministries, if you will. But maybe there's some people in that church who could act as a babysitter. Maybe there might be some older people in the church who might be willing to go through the training and the requirements to become a certified babysitter, if you will, in the state of Texas for you. Maybe there are some kids in the church who could be a babysitter. That would be my suggestion to you, Misty. That's probably the easiest way to do that. But you know what? It's hard to find someone to go through that background check. I know. I understand completely. It's one of the challenges of being a foster parent. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so glad you asked, Misty. I hope that helped you. And welcome to Texas. I hope that your stay there goes well. Again, I've been there so many times over the years, working with agency. So, you know, I love it. I love going to Texas. And I know that Texas is open back up. I hope to be there again very soon. Thank you for asking. This is Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. I've been a foster parent myself to 60 plus children through the years. I've had as many as 11 kids in my house at the same time. Does that sound crazy? Yes, that was insane. Absolutely right. Bethany says, we are currently kinship, but would like to switch to traditional foster parents. If and when the kiddos go home, are there more classes training for traditional fostering? Bethany, so glad you asked. Bethany, we actually have a webinar here. I think it premiered maybe 2 months ago, maybe last month. I can't remember when it was. It was recently though, Bethany. And hopefully you've seen it already. It's about kinship care, kinship foster parenting. It talks all about what you need to know. To answer your question, most likely there will be some additional training classes. Not always. Depends upon the area you live in, depends upon the agency you're with, but most likely you'll have to do some additional training. Now, there are benefits to be sure of becoming licensed as a foster parent. From kinship to foster parenting, there are additional benefits that you will find. Again, we talk all about that in the webinar Kinship Care right here at the Foster Care Institute. Hopefully, Bethany, hopefully you're already a special member and have access to that and over 60 hours of other training webinars. All right. Hey, this is Foster. Appreciate you asking. Thank you so much for asking. This is Foster Talk with Dr. John. We're answering your foster care, adoption, kinship, parenting questions. What are you struggling with right now? What is the number one thing that you need help with right now that we can help you with? And as I said earlier, hey, we had early this morning, 7 a.m. Eastern, the brand new edition of the Foster Care Institute newsletter came out. I hope you got it. I hope you got it because it has everything you need to know this week as a foster parent. If you don't get it, type in I want newsletter, put your email address. I want newsletter, put your email address. We'll make sure you get it. Missy says, that's a good idea, but can I use someone else already licensed on my app? Missy, that is a question for your caseworker. All right. That's a question on your caseworker because I don't know what your agency's policy is in that regard. Every state is different in regards to foster care. Every agency is different as well. That means there's so many different ways of doing foster care. That's one of the challenges that the nation faces with foster care. One of the many, many challenges. Appreciate you asking here. Hey, yeah, get your questions. What do you number tonight, right now, this very minute, this very day, this very week, this month, this year? What's been the hardest part for you as a foster parent? Has it been the fact that the kids in your home are still not in school because of the COVID? Is it because the children in your home are not getting the traditional support services and counseling services because of distancing? Is it because they're not getting face? Is it because of eating disorders? What is it that you are struggling with tonight? We want to make sure we're able to answer your questions. We've got about 15 more minutes left. 15 more minutes left to answer your questions right here. Alexander says, I need a newsletter. Alexander, we will get you that newsletter tonight. Thank you for asking. Look for it tonight. Megan, we will get you that newsletter tonight as well. Appreciate you two asking. Alexander says, they removed my kids. I need to hear more about that, Alexandra. I need to hear a lot more about that. And Alexandra, this might help you. Maybe this will help you. Actually, I did it, I think 2 times Saturday, once Sunday. I got a session tomorrow. I serve as a foster parent personal consultant or personal coach or personal mentor, if you will, where foster parents across the globe have consultation sessions with me, if you will, where we look at a lot of different, we look at your challenge in full, we examine it in full, and we look at the best solutions for you. If that's something you're interested in doing, message me, or better yet, send me an email, and we can look at it. Maybe we can schedule a session for you and talk about some of the legal problems. And all the sessions I've been doing lately have been centered around allegations and accusations. So if I can help you with that, let me know. Send me an email, and maybe we can schedule time for you to have a one-on-one 30-minute foster parent consultation session. Hopefully that sounds okay for you. Okay, this is Tuesday night, March 23rd. Easter Sunday is coming up soon. I was actually working outside of my yard earlier today, getting my yard ready for our annual Easter egg hunt. We're inviting a lot of kids to our house. COVID, social distancing. We are having fun in our house, and we're going to have a great time Easter Saturday. So I've been beautiful weather here in Georgia. So what did you do today? All right, Missy says, my main issue, hey, Missy, glad you're here. Foster Talk with Dr. John, glad you're here. My main issue was the high demands of caseworkers. Too many required appointments. Other times, a normal home life was impossible because of the required appointments. Oh, Misty, you're probably preaching to everybody in the choir here. I've been there. Oh my goodness, have I been there? Listen, with 11 plus kids in my house at the same time, we had required appointments to go to. It was challenging. It was tough. It was difficult. It's one of the responsibilities, though, of a foster parent. It's hard. Yes, I understand. Misty, maybe there is a transporter that your agency uses. That these transporters are people that are paid to transport the child from your home to the visitation and back. I think back to a time, Misty, where we had 3 boys in our house. This was written in my book, I think, Love and Mayhem, the bestseller. We had 3 boys in our home, and Tuesday nights they had to travel 2 hours to visit mom for 1 hour, who was in jail, and 2 hours back. It was after school. And the boys got home maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. There was no way in the world. We had, I think we may have had 7 kids in the house at the time. I could not take off, being away from all of my kids in the house on Tuesday nights until 11 o'clock. And the same thing happened on Thursdays, 2 hours there, an hour visitating, and 2 hours back. But this is with Dad, who was in a different jail. Tuesdays and Thursday nights, getting home about 11 o'clock at night. The homework was shot for the boys. The dinner was terrible. It was terrible. We had a transporter take the boys there and back because it was simply no possible way my wife or I could do that in the middle of a school week with so many kids and dinner and homework, and it was just crazy. So there might be a transporter. So you might want to ask your agency if that's a possibility. But again, it's one of the responsibilities of foster parent, and it makes it difficult. I've been there. Boy, have I been there. Appreciate you asking. Thank you for being here tonight, Misty. Hey, this is Foster Talk with Dr. John. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday night, 7 to 7:30. What do you need help with? Like Misty, what is the number one thing you're struggling with tonight? What do you need help with right now, this very moment? We want to make sure we're able to answer your questions. We only do it 7 to 7:30. So we've got about 10 more minutes left here. 10 more minutes left. We want to make sure we answer your question. Hey, Elena. I see that Elena is here tonight with us. And I see that Jim is here tonight. Thank you, Jim, for joining us. Tammy. Hey, Tammy. Welcome, Tammy. So, hey, Lisa, glad you're here tonight too. A lot of people joining us tonight. Always glad when you are spending your Tuesdays and Thursdays here with us. So I'm actually writing a new article right now for Foster Focus magazine. They've asked me to step in, and the editor has asked me to step in for the next 6 months and do the editorial. So hopefully you saw the new one that came out maybe last week, Foster Focus magazine, last week or the week before. My first editorial was in there, but I'm doing one right now. I'm writing about now about the wonderful benefits, the wonderful job of being a CASA, the wonderful gift of being a CASA. I'm writing about CASAs right now. So if you're a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate, I'm writing a special editorial about what you do, and I want to say thank you for that. I love my CASAs. Missy says, need to find an agency in Texas. Recommendations? Oh my goodness, Missy, where do I start? Texas is a huge state. Huge state. I don't know where you live. I don't know your faith-based privileges or not. Do you want to join a faith-based organization or not? Do you want to go with the state? Do you want to go with a private agency? You know, it's hard. Texas is huge, and there's so many wonderful agencies there. I've had the privilege of working with, gosh, maybe a dozen agencies over the years. Before COVID, I was going to Texas about 4 or 5 times a year. I love the Lone Star State. So I can't recommend anybody in particular, but what you might want to do, Misty, is you might want to go to my website, the Foster Care Institute, go to my page and look at all the agencies I work with in Texas. All those agencies are great ones for you. But you need to figure out what your needs are, Misty. What your needs are. Do you want to work with a state agency? Or do you want a little smaller one-on-one caseworker relationship with a private agency? If you're a person of faith, maybe you want to go with a faith-based agency. So it really depends upon what you are looking for. Also, Misty, you might want to go on the Texas Foster Parent Association Facebook page, right here on Facebook, and ask people in Texas what they recommend. Again, it's a huge state. Try to center in where you live, and then ask people around you who are the foster parents what they like about their own agency. That's what I would recommend. That's exactly what I'd recommend. So either go to my website, the Foster Care Institute, look at the agencies I've worked with in Texas, and or go to the Texas Foster Parent Association page here on Facebook and ask people on there what they might recommend. That is what I would ask. That's what I suggest. I want to say hello to Alice. Hey, Alice, glad you're here with us tonight. And Thomas is here too. Thomas, glad you're here with us tonight. Hey, I'll be about 5 more minutes here answering your questions. 5 more minutes answering your questions right here. Foster Talk with Dr. John. Misty says, great ideas. Hey, Misty, glad it was helpful for you. Appreciate that. Hey, tomorrow in the mail, I'm sending a number of foster care books. I'm sending the little book of foster care wisdom, the foster care survival guide, faith and foster care, the foster parenting manual, the children's book, A Different Home, a new foster child story, Fostering Love, One Foster Parent's Journey, and I think the Church in Foster Care. It's not all my books, I've got more, but a lot of them are going out in mail to foster parents across the country. I hope one of them is going to you. I'm signing each copy tonight, putting them in the mail tomorrow. So if you ordered a copy in the last 2 days, your book is going in the mail to you tomorrow. I'm also jumping on the phone tomorrow with members of a number of senators. Yesterday I spoke with Senator Tim Scott's office. Today was Representative Kelly's office. Last Friday, I believe it was Senator Lee from Utah. The day before, Thursday, was Senator Kramer. Many legislators I'm talking to right now about the Child Welfare Provider Inclusion Act. Child Welfare Provider Inclusion Bill, actually. If you're not familiar with it, do a quick Google and a quick search online, and you might find about it. And it could change if this does not go through. If it does not go through, it could change foster care dramatically. Dramatically. It could alter foster care for a very long time to come. So that's what I've been doing myself lately. Keeping busy here at the Foster Care Institute. Hey, so glad you're here with us tonight. What do you need help with? Tell me right now. What do you need help with? As a foster parent myself, I really struggle with when the day the kids leave my house. The kids that we have come to love as our own. The kids that have come members of our own family. The kids that we've given all of our hearts to. For me, those moments of goodbye, they're hard. Yeah, sure. My heart's broken 1,000 times. Yeah, my wife too. I remember coming home and seeing my wife in tears on the floor weeks after child left. Like, I can't do this anymore. It hurts too much. Maybe that's what you struggle with. Or maybe you struggle with the fact when the kids come to your home, you don't really know how to welcome them. Maybe your own biological children struggle with children in foster care in your home. Maybe there's a jealousy or a rivalry of some kind. Whatever it might be, we're here to answer your questions and give you the help that you need. Hey, Aaron, glad you're here with us tonight. Teresa, glad you're here with us tonight too. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Foster Talk with Dr. John. We want to make sure we answer your questions. So get your questions. We've got 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. We want to answer your questions right here every Tuesday and Thursday night. So if we can, type it and get those fingers flying. No question is off limits. No question is off limits. Parenting, adoption, kinship, foster care, whatever you need help with, we want to make sure we're answering your questions here tonight. Okay, so get them in. See if you get fit. See if you can squeeze them in. Don't wait till the last minute. Otherwise, you're gonna wait till Thursday night, and we don't want that to be too late for you. Hey, Kristen, glad you hear this tonight, Kristen. I'll be on Nancy Grace. I'll be in Nancy Grace's TV show. I'll be interviewed there sometime this week. My good friend Jen Lilly. Do you watch Hallmark movies? Do you watch the Hallmark Channel? Do you watch Hallmark? If you do, you might know my friend Jen Lilly. She's been here with us a couple times. Foster Talk with Dr. John and Jen, co-hosting. And of course, her and I went to Washington, D.C. last summer. Her and I are going to be appearing on Nancy Grace later this week, talking about a tragic situation in Minnesota. Little Melanie Vang, little child in foster care. Tragic end. So I'll let you know when that comes on, and hope you watch it. Okay, maybe a couple more minutes here left if we want. If you want a question for us, we'll get your question in. Hey, don't forget, if you want the Foster Care Institute newsletter, the Foster Care News of the Week, the Foster Care Webinar of the Week, the Foster Care 101 video tip, the Foster Care Motivational Moment, and so much more. You want it? You don't have it yet? It's free. Type in I want newsletter, put your email address. I want newsletter, put your email address. We will make sure that you get it tonight. Okay, I want to send it to you. Want to make sure you get it. We have over 20,000 people who get that newsletter every single week, and I would love to add you to the list. I want to make sure you get all that you need. Hey, again, I've been a foster parent myself, 60 plus kids. I started fostering in 2002, was it? So we're coming up on almost 20 years now. The most incredible roller coaster of emotion that I never really expected, but I love it. It's been fantastic. And how maybe you feel the same way. Jessica's here. Hello, Jessica. Welcome, Foster Talk with Dr. John. Dr. John, I have a 15-year-old male who doesn't trust women based on past experiences with females, and I've had defiant. How do I help him trust me and listen? You know, Jessica, I'm gonna point you to a couple webinars here at the Foster Care Institute because we have 2 minutes left and there's so much I could tell you. There's not enough time. I would encourage you to watch the following webinars: Parenting Troubled Teens. It's a webinar you need to watch. Trauma Informed Parenting Part 1, Trauma Informed Parenting Part 2, and Anger Management. Those are 4 webinars I would encourage you to watch here at the Foster Care Institute. And Jessica, here's the best part. When you watch those webinars, not only will you get all the solutions, the tips that you need, because they've got all the answers there for you, but also you can download a certificate, type your name and date on it, print it out. My name's already on it, and you got 4 hours of training right there. Every webinar is an hour, and guess what? They're only about 35 minutes long. Still an hour training, but it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take him a lot of time to get to trust you. You need to show him that you are understanding, compassionate, non-judgmental. Don't judge his actions. Don't judge his family. Tell him it's okay to be angry. Tell him it's okay not to trust you. Listen to him. Allow him to vent, if you will. Remember, it has nothing to do with you, Jessica. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. That anger he has towards you, nothing to do with you. It's based upon his feelings. His emotions are overwhelming him. He may not know how to process it. Maybe he's been hurt so many times, hurt emotionally, physically. Trust has been betrayed. So it's going to take him a long time, Jessica, a long time to do it, to trust you. And that's normal for him. So what I would encourage you to do, again, watch those 4 webinars: Trauma Informed Parenting Part 1, Trauma Informed Parenting Part 2, Anger Management, and Parenting Troubled Teens. All right. It's going to give you all the answers you need. Missy says, have you heard of the Adrian Jones Act? Highly recommend you look into it. I haven't heard of it, Adrian, but I will look into it. Appreciate that. Thank you for asking. Hey, we are out of time. We're out of time already. The 30 minutes has flown by, as it does every single time we do it. We'll be back here again next Thursday. This coming Thursday night in 2 nights. Now, before I go, if you did not get the foster care institute newsletter, type in I want newsletter, put your email address, all the news you need about foster care. And if you're not a member of the foster care institute, if you're not a special member, please sign up tonight. We had 5 people sign up earlier today. I want to make sure you sign up and you'll get all the webinars that you need, the training hours you need to stay licensed in your own home this year and for 2022 as well. So glad you're here with us tonight. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for spending some time with us. Thank you for caring for children in your home who are suffering from trauma and crisis. It is not easy. I know. Sometimes there are days when you say, I can't do this. Sometimes there's moments when you say, I quit. Sometimes you think, no one understands what you're going through. I've been there all those. So I want to say thank you for what you do. It's challenging, but you're changing the life of the child in your home. I promise you. I promise you they're going to be a better child, a better person for what you do for them. So keep on loving them as hard as it might be. Keep on doing it. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo. We'll see you at my website.